Hello, I'm Jake Boudrot, Civic Journalist at Tello Community Television. With me today is the Liberal candidate for the riding of Inverness. Welcome, Jaime Beaton.
Thank you very much for having me here. I'm very happy to be here today.
I guess the best place to start is having you talk a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, well, I'm from Mabou. I grew up my whole life there, played hockey and did all the Mabou things. And then in 1999, I graduated high school and moved on to volunteering with Civic. So that kind of brought me all across Canada, doing volunteer work with seniors and community gardens and things like that. So very community building experience that I received there. And then I went on to live in Ottawa, where I studied media and communications and political science. So I graduated from Carleton University and got a degree in political science. And then I also worked in the municipal government in Ottawa for about 13 years doing social services, involved in many committees and just, trying to improve programs and things like that in the city. So as we delivered our services to the residents of the city of Ottawa. And then in 2019, I finally moved back home to Cape Breton. Yeah. So from there, I was so excited to get back home. I think that's every Cape Bretoner's dream, really. So when I did that, I stayed a good amount of time in Mabou and then went out and found some work and started working in public housing in Nova Scotia. So for the last 4 years, I've been doing that, and then from here, I'm sitting at this chair. That's basically what the small and the short of it, I suppose, and very happy to be running here as the Liberal candidate.
From the experiences you've acquired and the skills you've acquired, how do you think those are a good fit to be the MLA for Inverness?
Well, I think I have a lot of experience with working with people, especially trying to problem solve issues that they have. And that's really, the MLA in any riding is kind of that conduit to figure out how can we make things better. And I think I have a lot of skills in doing that. I have a great understanding of kind of the landscape in Nova Scotia right now, what's going on, and some of the priorities that are in Inverness right now, particularly around housing and healthcare. Transportation, for instance, we do have some public transportation, and that's one of the liberal platform pieces that they're going to aim for free transportation in Nova Scotia. So I think that's really, where I can really bring some oomph to making some change and bringing good things to Inverness.
Why did you decide to run provincially?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So really, I kind of always thought, I've always been engaged in politics, and studying politics and that kind of thing. So, I really feel that running for this was kind of like a thing I've always thought about doing, and then the opportunity really arose, right? So with the election being called, and I was in touch with the Liberal Party and really discussed how I might bring something to the table here in Inverness. So really, running for this is a accumulation of a lot of work that I've done over the years, working in government already. So that's why I'm here. I really am passionate about it and want to bring some good things to the riding here in Inverness, and work with other areas in Nova Scotia and other MLAs, and really strategize how do we do things right for our constituents in the province.
Why specifically did you decide to run for the Liberal Party?
Well, I've always been, a person who believes in a lot of social programs and, housing, healthcare, really focusing on getting people's lives in a good place and making them better. So that's really why, the values of the Liberal Party sit well with me, and I feel good about what they do. So I think that's why I'm sitting right here in the seat for the candidate for the Liberal Party. I think they have a lot to offer and always fight for good change and that kind of thing and making progress, right? So that's why I ran for the Liberal Party. Very near and dear to my heart as far as issues that they try to improve.
So as you know, the riding of Inverness takes in the Town of Port Hawkesbury as well as the Municipality of the County of Inverness.
That's right.
So as you see it right now, in your mind, what are the major issues facing the riding?
Yeah, I think housing is a huge one. We know that all across Port Hawkesbury as well, and the County of Inverness. There's a lot of temporary housing situations. It's a high tourism area, particularly when you start getting into, the Judic, Mabou, Port Hood, Inverness. There's a lot of tourism, so sometimes accommodations aren't year-long accommodations. That's one thing, and it's a balance that needs to be struck, as to how to accommodate both things at the same time. And I think really too in Port Hawkesbury, there's the population density is quite large, right? It's building, and when you look at affordable housing in Port Hawkesbury, I think there's a real challenge there. We can look and see there's some units being built for public housing, which is the deeply affordable. 30% of a renter's income is charged for their rent, right? And that's the public housing model. And then as far as affordability for most other folks that are not living in that type of situation, they're paying a lot of their income toward rent. And we know that fixed term leases are a huge issue in the area. Folks, they have to be able to have a lease that's going to ensure that they're going to stay in their unit and have a rent cap that's appropriate, right? Right now it's a temporary rent cap of 5% in Nova Scotia, and again, that's temporary. It's not a enshrined rent cap that's going to move forward past 2025 with the current situation. And 5% is one of the highest rent caps in Canada. If you look at Ontario, for instance, 2.5 is the highest a landlord can increase your rent, 2.5% annually. So that's a big thing, right? Like that makes a big difference in people's pockets, I think, if they know their rent is only going to go up a certain percentage point each year. And then, of course, with fixed-term leases, that cap doesn't really address anything because people who are renting units to people, they can increase the rent any percentage. They don't fall under that fixed rent cap of 5%. So I think that's a big issue here. Of course, healthcare, transportation. We're really working towards trying to address that. So there's collaborative care clinics that are operating in the province, but we're going to build and expand on that through the Liberal Party, right? So if we get the mandate, then that's going to happen, and you could probably see that growing here in the Strait area of Port Hawkesbury and whatnot. So yeah, so that's some of the issues that I think. Of course, I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to get out there and really hear from them because I don't want to assume everybody's issues. There could be more, and I want to hear them.
If you are elected BDMLA for Inverness, what are your priorities or goals in that term?
Well, my goal is really to get the voice of Inverness to the legislature. So, if I get there, I'm going to be advocating for what we need in our riding, and I think I'll do a very good job at that. And especially, hearing more and more and more from constituents. That's the key. Like, it's got to be, funneled up to be brought to a bigger table, and I think I can do that pretty efficiently. And push for the priorities that we have here. So that's kind of what I would do. And again, that's driven by the constituents, right? Like I can't make assumptions of what people need here. We know there's some overarching things like the housing and the healthcare and that kind of thing, right? But there's probably more, and I want to know about it and bring that forth.
You've recently confirmed that you're running, and you've been on the campaign trail and started your campaign. So what have you been doing since you started, and then what are your plans for the days and weeks ahead on the trail?
Yeah, so a lot of the background stuff that's been going on is just getting set up, right? Like getting headquarters, which we secured. It's in Inverness on 7 Maple Street, so we're hopefully going to have that open to the public so they can come in and get information. I've campaigned a little bit around Inverness, Mabou, Port Hood, and plan to do some of Port Hawkesbury actually after I leave here today. So doing that, canvassing, going door to door, getting signs up, that's a big thing. Getting those printed, getting them, getting a team together to build them and put them in the ground so that they can be seen. Because it was a quick election call, so it was hard to really get out of the gate, but I think we're getting there, and we're gonna really get out and show who I am to constituents. So for instance, I'm gonna go down to Shetty Camp in Pleasant Bay on Saturday, right, and meet with folks there. On November 13th from 5:30 to 7:30, I'll be at Mabou Hall, so people can, come and have a little meet and greet with me. And then from there, I'm just going to keep going and probably have a day in Port Hawkesbury, when I'm going to speak to, let residents come to me, but I'm also going to go to residents. So that's kind of the plan, and really just get the messaging out that there's a good choice here in this election with the Liberal Party.
I appreciate you taking time out of your busy campaign schedule. I'm sure it's quite hectic, and appreciate you sitting down, answering my questions, and speaking with our viewers. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Jake, and I'm happy to get out there and be in this position to run.